Hey guys, thanks for joining. If you're new to the channel, be sure and subscribe over there on YouTube Live. If you're on Facebook, I would appreciate a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And just a big thank you to you for coming out here and watching. It's been a few days since I came out and streamed this particular drawing. So I'm going to kind of have to get caught back up a little bit here and just see what's going on with it. So appreciate a sound check. If you're over on Facebook and if you're on YouTube as well, if you could just reach out and give me a thumbs up or something in a comment, let me know you can hear me. That would be awesome. Nancy Lemon. Evening, John. Hey, Nancy. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Nancy. Okay. Oh, thanks, Fred. Appreciate that. Just realized I forgot to switch out my photo that I'm looking at over here over my desk. So let me see if I can take care of that real quick. I'm going to turn the camera off for 1 second. Nobody needs to see my bald head right there in the screen because I got to reach over and grab it. All right. Voila. Welcome back. Okay. So kind of have to reevaluate, look at this again and sort of figure out where we are. And I used a cheesecloth and just rubbed over the surface. Accomplishes a lot of things when you do that. And it doesn't have to be a cheesecloth. It can be, well, practically anything. It could be, it could be a rag. It could be a microfiber rag. It could be a paper towel. It could be a chamois. But what happens is it will remove some of the loose spots in the drawing. It will also blend a lot of the drawing together. And I learned this trick. I had done this a couple of times, but it kind of was brought back to my memory and made me start thinking about it even more when Bonnie Schechter, I had on the podcast, she told me about it, that she does that on her drawings. So made me think about that again. And I'm glad she mentioned that. So I went out and bought a different mixer to celebrate show 300 of the podcast. Hopefully you can tell there's a slight increase in audio fidelity with this particular stream and the one I did this morning. Hopefully it's noticeable, but it's a better mixer and has a better sound quality to it. Okay. Let's see here. I think what we'll do, I started thinking I was going to run out of sienna, my color in the Derwent Lightfast. But I actually found another pencil, so that's good. And I think I'm going to use that and Mars Violet. And start looking for areas that need some correcting, need a little bit attention to make them blend together just a little bit. Yeah, but before I do that, I noticed up here, this was starting to get a little bit too dark. I want to see if I can remove any of that, and if I can't, that's okay. As we'll use a lighter value on top of it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to remove a whole lot, which that's fine. So we'll just kind of remember that. We'll log that in our mind, and we'll use a lighter value on top of that. All right, so now that I have rubbed this entire drawing, I can start to see some of the areas that are not as covered, where I don't have as much pigment on the paper. So I want to come back in here with sort of a consistent pressure on the surface. A little bit lighter than what I would use if I were like signing my name, that kind of thing. That's what I'm using right now. But what this does is it gives me an option here, an opportunity to cover some of the areas that otherwise you can see some of the tooth of the paper. All right. So for those that may not know, may not be aware, I have a workshop, live Zoom workshop, but it's going to be taught live over Zoom next week. Starts on Monday. And I'm excited about that. Haven't done that in a while. So can't wait for that. Okay. And if you're interested in signing up for that and you haven't done that yet, then you can email me directly and ask about it. The pre-sale is going on right now for those that are on my email list. But if you're not on that email list, then you should get on that email list, for one thing. So, but you can email me directly about that. Okay. Now this is enough in this area. Let me zoom in just a little bit. I'll show you this. That's probably good right there. That's starting to bother me. I'll fix it later on, but that's a little bit too dark. So you might notice that we still have some of the tooth of the paper showing through right here. But I don't have to worry about all of that. I can leave it sort of the way it is right there, because right there in that little curve, I'm going to have some different color right in there. So I don't have to use this sienna in that area. other areas, when you're laying down your color and you're thinking about subsequent layers that you're going to lay down, like right in here, I'm going to have some lighter colors, and those lighter colors will bleed out down into here. Then when I'm raking across this area, then I don't want to add as much in that spot, because, hey, Jan, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Jan is over there on Facebook Live. Because if I add more in that area, and I know I'm going to add lighter colors later on, then I'm going to have like this buildup that starts to happen on top of a dark color. And if I've thought enough about it ahead of time, then I can just leave that area alone, and I'll have nearly the same pigment buildup, just a different color right here. So it'll be a lighter color right there. Hopefully we'll have time, and I'll show you that in just a moment. As we move through this, I'll come back down to this area with a lighter color. So someone asked me, what color is this sienna color? Well, a sienna is, it's a red color is what it is. But if you look at the color itself and you look at the differences in some brands of color, and you look at paints that are sienna, then you're going to get a variety of different hues. But they're in that red family, but they tend to be more, they have more of a purple or a lavender tone to them. And so you kind of have to look at each one individually, from whichever manufacturer of pencil you're using. But yeah, it's more on that spectrum of red. And if you're used to the Polychromos pencils, then it's very close to like the Caput Mortem or Caput Mortem Violet. This particular color of sienna in the Derwent Lightfast. Okay, now one of the advantages of using Derwent Lightfast at this stage in the drawing process is these layers now that I'm sealing in, I'm encapsulating this, I am creating this barrier now. They're not going to go anywhere. All those layers that I put down, they're going to stay put. Okay, let me back out just a little bit here. Oh, thanks, Pam. Appreciate that. Thanks for joining us. Now, right here, this got a little bit too bright on this side, so I can knock this back down just a little bit. Make it a little bit darker value. Okay. I'm going to get into Fred's favorite part up here, the forehead. All right. Now, you might notice that a lot of, if you were paying a lot of attention to it, that is, it might not be something that's real obvious, I guess, but some of the subsequent layers that I had put down right in here, they're no longer there after I rubbed this with that cheesecloth and nylon. And it softened everything. It gave it a more unified kind of look, but it also took away, some of the layers, which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. What it did actually is it took away some of the layers that were probably applied unevenly. So really, that's a good thing, right? And it spread the pigment out and distributed all that pigment a little bit more smoothly, or in a better way than what I had on there initially. So I like that, really. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining. Deborah is out there on YouTube Live. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, hey, Ted. How are you? Well, Ted is out there on Facebook Live. I tell you, you've got to sharpen your pencils so much more when you're using the Derwent Lightfast pencils. You're going to wear down that tip a lot quicker when you compare that to a Polychromos or even a Luminance pencil. Most often, I'm sharpening a Derwent Lightfast pencil more often. But the thing is, what's nice about these pencils is the pigment actually adheres to the surface. So the coverage is so good. Hey, Karen Peters over there on Facebook. How are you? Good to see you over here. Now, like I was saying earlier, I am so excited about the workshop starting on Monday. Now, I had somebody email me today, and I'm not going to say who she was, but I'm going to email her back, and I'm going to tell her, no, you don't do that. I'm going to be emailing out the reference photo, a couple of versions of it, and I'm going to talk. I'm going to send you guys a video, and I'm going to talk to you about some things and with the reference photos. And she emailed me back and said, "Oh, good. I'm so glad you are sending the reference photo because I want to start drawing on it before the workshop." I'm like, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. So I'm gonna have to yell at her. All right. So I just use my sand block a little bit to sharpen up that tip. So I'm looking for coverage here, an even distribution of this pigment, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm covering this where I have some of those darker areas that will show up anyway. No, it's not flat, Deb. Deb's asking if I'm working on a flat surface. No, this is angled. This is an angled surface, so it's about probably 45 degrees, something like that. It feels like it's flat in a lot of ways because this camera is right here where my head is, because I'm trying to give you guys the best angle at looking at this. Rather than, I think it still works, but I just decided not to do it, but I've seen others put their camera like right over their shoulder, or things like that, or right beside the desk, but it distorts the image too much, and so I decided not to do that. Decided to give you guys the best viewing angle. I have to admit, I really, really look forward to doing this live stream, being out here with you guys. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I'm at the top of the frame there. See if I can pull that down just a little bit for you. Right there. We're going to get so far away, you're not going to be able to see any detail. It's as far as I'll go tonight, right up there, okay? Then I'll come back down. And I've already got to sharpen this again. So I'm going to switch over to this little tiny one. See if I can use it for a little while. Oh, thanks, Deborah. I appreciate that. Okay. It's so fun. I enjoy doing this. All right. Now, see if we can smooth some of these areas out just a little bit. Yeah, I may not have, and it doesn't look like I do. I don't have enough pigment over there. Hey, good to see you, Ted. Yeah. Or maybe I should say it's good to be seen. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I do need to sharpen this. I'm running out of area right in here because I don't want to go over into this area. I'm pushing this over just a little bit, but I'm going to use a lighter pencil and come back in the other direction. So maybe now's a good time to do that a little bit. Even though I didn't smooth all of that out yet, we at least got closer in that direction. Okay. Next decision then on some pencil colors here. Deborah, you're asking, can we know what paper to use for the work? So, Deborah, check your email. I sent an email to you, and I sent an email to everyone who signed up for the workshop. And it has a PDF downloadable of all the materials, and it also has a video of me talking through all the materials in there as well. So I'm going to be using Pastelmat, but I'm going to talk about some of the differences if you're going to be using a different paper. And so I have a list of papers that I would suggest using, especially if you don't have Pastelmat. Oh, no, that's fine. No problem, Deb. I certainly understand that. I'm one of the worst, actually, at staying up on email. It's a constant battle that I'm losing all the time. I hate to admit, but it's true. Sometimes I feel really good because I kind of got caught up on email a little bit, and then as soon as I start feeling like that, I get behind again, just like immediately. Okay, that isn't working out right there. So if that's the case, then what do I need to do? So this area right here has this definite line that's darker, and I don't want that. So I'm going to use a darker value down here. Push this down just a little bit. Getting worse. Okay. And so now I'm going to use this brush since that is getting worse. Well, you guys can't see it anyway, so I don't know why I'm telling you. Let's see. Let me zoom in. That will help. Okay, now you can probably see it. You can see what I'm seeing anyway. Now, how awful that is. Okay, I didn't check this. Let me check the color on this. Make sure I didn't use anything different lately. I didn't. Okay. Just push that down into that lighter value, making up the brow ridge, right? Okay, not bad. Now, this is something I could do on the entire forehead. Well, since we're there, let's go ahead and do it. Just to keep everything balanced and uniform. Off the frame again. I know. I'm coming back down. I think I need 2 cameras on this. Maybe I'll do that. Show you a different angle that's farther away. When I'm off the frame, you can look at that one. Maybe that'll be a good thing to do. Okay, let's come on back down here. All right. Now, I want to zoom back in, though, so I want you to see this if you're interested in that. So this inconsistent area right there is what I'm focusing on. Put a little bit of that darker value in there again. Now, it looks like I may have some unevenness in the paper itself. So I'm going to add this salmon color. This is salmon in Derwent Lightfast. So a lighter value, but lighter than sienna. I'll put it that way. Two angles? Does that sound like something I should do? I thought about doing that recently, so maybe I will do that then, Nancy, if that will help. Yeah. That's something I can do with this software, so maybe I should start doing that. Okay. Now, if I add... Okay, let me just move this down here a little bit. If I add... Okay, let me add a little bit more up here. Just so I have enough coverage. Okay. Now, if I want this area, though, to be lighter right here, and I've modified it to where it's more blended and it's more that middle value right now, then I can come back on top of it again because I'm shifting this slowly, right? So sienna, so it's sort of a darker to middle value range. Then I'm going to salmon, and now I'm putting on oyster. So I hope that's oyster. I think it is. Yeah, it is. So I've moved it from a darker mid value, I guess I should say, that's a little bit darker mid value, to a lighter value. By the time I'm done, that's what I will have done, I guess I should say. That's what my goal is. The objective here is to raise that area up, right? If you think like a sculptor, and sometimes it's real helpful to do that. Deborah's asking, have you ever checked how many colors you use just in one portrait? Yeah, I think I have before. It's a lot. But, believe it or not, though, I am trying to not use as many. I'm trying to use as few as possible, actually. So I don't know for sure, but that would be something I should probably pay attention to at some point. It's actually a good question, though, Deborah. I think there's a lot of advantages to having at your disposal, just a lot of colors, or within that, that range, have colors available, like in your pinks, in your reds, in your yellows, and then darker and lighter of each of those, warmer and cooler. And then try to pare that down, and then tell yourself, okay, I'm not grabbing any more pencils. I'm going to use only this very, very limited palette. And I'm going to force myself to create the curve and dimension just out of that. I mean, that's possible, right? Obviously it is. But It's too fun to not do that. It's too fun to use more pencils. Okay. And it's too easy, I should say, also to use more pencils. It's harder to use less, right? Isn't that what they always say? Like, if I had time, I would write something short, but instead, I ran out of time, so I wrote you something long and rambling, right? It's always the way it goes. Same way with your drawings, with my drawings. If I really sat there and concentrated, I could get this down to what, maybe 5, 10 colors or something, right? The funnier, the more you use, the funnier it is. Okay, Deborah. Uh, yeah, but it's so true though. I mean, it's like you you actually you can become lazy. I'll put it that way. I can become lazy by just using way too many colors. So I'm actually trying not to use a ton of colors. I'm trying not to introduce more colors than I feel like is needed or is necessary. But am I necessarily restricting myself? No, not in this portrait. I'm not. I'm not attempting to try to relegate this to only like 10 pencils or something. Okay, that's better. I'm happy with that right now. So I can move along. Okay. Couple of wrinkles up here of which I'm very proud that I want to make sure I get in there. They're not that big, but I want to exaggerate them a little bit for the moment. This was taken a few years ago. Maybe I should look back in the mirror. Might have new ones. Probably do. Okay, I've got one. Let's see. It's nearly right in the middle. Right in there. Yeah, there we go. That's it, Nancy. Wisdom lines. uh, I'm just wondering if Deborah's still laughing over there. Oh, cracks me up. Okay. Now let me add a little lighter value in here as well. Right next to the wisdom line, I'm going to add a little bit of some of this lighter value, both on the bottom and then on the top. And we might Might as well keep going. I'm going to not press down as hard right here because I want to use a little bit lighter value right there. Extend this over a little bit. And right in here. I'm not going to press quite as hard there either. That's a little bit too dark right there. Okay. No, that's a good question, Pam. I do rotate the pencil to keep it sharp, but it doesn't work for very long with the Derwent Lightfast pencil when I'm pressing, this hard. And I'm not pressing real hard, but I'm pressing harder than I have been on subsequent layers. Okay. Now, I've got 3 salmon pencils in my hand, though. And so one gets dull, I'll switch over to the next one. Okay. There are quite a few dark values in here, but I can't determine what color I want to use. I don't really like that color that I just put down. Now that I'm looking at it closer. So I'll take that off a little bit. So I take a little bit more of that off. So Pam, you saw me rotating the pencil? Is that what you meant? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I do rotate the pencil a little bit, but sometimes when you're pressing kind of hard, it still just wears that tip down so quickly, Can I zoom in a bit? You're not able to see it there very clearly, Nancy. How's that? Is that better, guys? Okay. Yeah, like all 3 of these tips now, I've used them quite a bit. And they're actually pretty dull. So I need to sharpen them. Okay. In this area, though, I think what I want to do is use this ultramarine violet. Oh, you're welcome, Nancy. Okay, right in there. It'll give me a darker value without creating something that could start to look, like mud, or like something is not defined very well. Okay. Because this is a darker value all through here. But it's slightly cooler also. All right. Okay, so that, I'm going to use this wild lavender, and we'll just put a little more of that dark area right there. And this eyebrow can be extended out this way a little bit more. And then over here. There we go. Thanks, Gloria. Thanks for joining us out there on YouTube Live as well. So if I go over here, I want to look at this imaginary line right here on this side. Okay. That's much better. All right. Okay. So now that we've established a little bit of that darker value right there, you can lighten that up just a little bit. And then this whole area. Sometimes you'll feel like, oh no, I'm kind of going backwards in this particular spot. I thought I was already further along, than where I am. But remember, just be tied to and married to a particular process, and not a formula. I don't mean that, but what I mean is the particular look that you're going to. And so the process of getting there is this back and forth constantly, right? Of dark and light, light and dark, and blending those two together. And if it means going back just a little bit so that you can go back forward again, then, there's nothing wrong with that. Then that's what you need to do, and just take your time and work on it. Work on making that blend of those colors and of those values work out. I remember early on when I would be working on, say, a portrait, and if something didn't work out, in the very beginning, something didn't work out, I would just learn my lesson, and then I would say, okay, next drawing, I'm going to not make that mistake, that kind of thing. And usually they were like small studies, even though they felt like they were larger to me. But there reaches a point in your development that you start to understand that, okay, these are just problems that I'm encountering, that everyone encounters. And so I need to work that out and figure out how to get around this problem and to correct this problem and not allow it to just drag me down. And I'm going to zoom that back out a minute. I want to look at it. And so if I can correct that problem, if I can go ahead and work through it, then I've learned some valuable lessons along the way. Okay. But what do you think I learn every time I just give up and say, "Oh, I'm not going to go do that again." That took me, the investment of time, whatever that was, 10 hours to work on that area above the eyebrow or something. That took me all that time. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. That teaches you to give up every time you encounter that problem. Good night, Deborah. It's probably a good reminder to me as well that it may be time for me to stop also. I think that's wise, going to bed at a reasonable time. All right, let me try this really quick. A little bit of my pink white up there. Those of us, us East Coasters over here, we've got to turn in a lot earlier than many others. Got to get our beauty sleep. Takes a lot to look this good. Okay, I'm cracking jokes. I'm laughing at myself. It must be time to stop. I think I am going to stop. But hey, guys, I wanted to say that if you do listen to the podcast, I'm just so excited right now. And I usually don't take enough time to really reflect and celebrate. And, this time I decided I'm actually going to do that. And, I just crossed over show number 300. And that's a reason to celebrate, So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that happened, that I've been at that show for over, let's see, what has it been? It's been 6 years now, a little over 6 years. So I think it's a great thing to celebrate incremental wins like that, and to once in a while just reflect on what's been going on. And so I'm taking a moment and trying to do that as much as as I can. You can't stop the water from moving downstream, but still, I just want to recognize that actually did happen, and it's really something. Oh, so Karen, you've been around a long, 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 long time then. That's awesome. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys, especially those of you who have been with me for a long, long time. It's been quite the journey, and really means a lot. This has been, one of the most consistent things in my art journey is the podcast. And I cannot tell you how many times I've thought about stopping. So I'm glad I didn't. Now, for the first time, I've got two sponsors on the show. UArt Premium Sanded Paper and Amazon Music. So I'm excited about that. Okay, I'm getting over there a little bit too far. All right, guys. Well, we will see you all tomorrow. Man, I think that's a good place to stop. Looks like it. All right, it's been a lot of fun. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. And I'll try not to touch this between now and then. Good night, everybody.